Maybe, just maybe, you are being called. Hello, and welcome to Our Walk Together. This is the place where we have a chance to listen and to learn from others on our walk. My name is Paul Long, and I will be your host, but also a fellow traveler. I'm glad that you're able to join me today on Our Walk Together. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Our Walk Together. In this episode, I want to explore what it means to embrace a Franciscan vocation, both within the religious community as the secular and also as a secular Franciscan. Whether you're considering a call to religious life or looking to integrate Franciscan principles into your everyday routine, you'll find some valuable insights here, I hope. Discover how this way of life can lead to a more meaningful and fulfilling existence. I know I have done one similar to this in the past, but this episode I want to just piggyback on the one that I just did about living every day as a Franciscan. What does this really mean? Choosing a Franciscan vocation means embracing a life led by the principles and the teachings of St. Francis of Assisi. This way of life is deeply rooted in history, carrying forward lessons of simplicity and service that resonate even today. Let's look into the historical background and the core principles and the different types of Franciscan vocations. The Franciscan vocation dates back to the early 13th century when St. Francis of Assisi, a young Italian nobleman, chose to live a life of poverty and devotion. Stripping himself of worldly possessions, he preached God's love and compassion. His approach was revolutionary, focusing on humility, care for creation, and a deep sense of community. By around 1220, his followers, known as Franciscans, formed one of the most significant religious orders in the Christian world. The Franciscan vocation is built on a few key principles that define its mission and its values. These principles are essential to understanding and living a Franciscan life. First of all, poverty. Franciscans embrace voluntary poverty, minimizing their reliance on material possessions. This allows them to focus on spiritual growth and service to others. And there's also humility, and humility means recognizing one's own limitations and valuing others. Franciscans aim to live without pride, always putting others before themselves. Love of all creation is another of the hallmarks. Inspired by St. Francis's famous Canticle of the Creatures, Franciscans show a deep respect and love for all living beings and the earth. They see nature as God's creation and treat it with care and responsibility. There's several different types of vocations. There's several different paths within a Franciscan vocation. Each one offers unique ways of living out Franciscan principles. First of all, they're the friars, the OFM. The friars are male members of the Franciscan order, living in community dedicated to prayer, education, and social work. They take vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience, and many of them are priests. Next, the Poor Clares. The Poor Clares were actually founded by St. Clare of Assisi, but they are female followers of St. Francis. They're known as the Poor Clares, and they live in cloistered convents They focus on prayer and contemplation, supporting their communities through various kinds of work. And then there's the secular Franciscans. For lay people who feel called to follow the Franciscan ideals, but remain in their everyday lives, the secular Franciscan order provides a way to commit to these values. Members meet regularly for spiritual growth and engage in community service. Now, each of these vocations allows individuals to contribute to their communities while living out the timeless teachings of St. Francis. Whether you feel called to a religious life as a friar or a poor Clare, or you're a layperson seeking to integrate these principles into daily life, there is a path in the Franciscan vocation for you. Embarking on a Franciscan vocation involves a heartfelt journey filled with meaningful choices and stages. Let's look at the essential processes and the formation stages for those who feel called to this spiritual path. There's discernment. The first is discernment. The path to a Franciscan vocation begins with discernment. This is a time to deeply reflect and pray about whether you are called to this way of life. Here's how you can navigate this process. Through prayer and reflection. Spend time in prayer and reflection, asking God to guide you. This spiritual practice will help you to hear His call more clearly. Also, spiritual direction. Seeking guidance from a spiritual director. This person can help you understand your feelings and experiences, providing insight into whether a Franciscan vocation is right for you. There's also community visits available. A time to visit Franciscan communities of all kinds, to experience their way of life firsthand. Engage in conversation with the friars or the sisters or the professed secular Franciscans to learn more about their daily routines and commitments. Sometimes people also go on discernment retreats, and they participate in retreats focused on vocational discernment. These retreats offer a supportive environment to explore your calling further. The discernment process is not rushed. It's a time to listen and to pray and to explore how God is calling you to live. Again, there is no rush in this discernment process. It's your time to listen, pray, and explore. After that comes the formation stages. Once you've discerned your call, the next step is entering the formation stages. These stages prepare you for a life as a Franciscan, teaching you the values and the practices essential to this vocation. Let's look at these stages. First of all, postulancy, and an introductory period. Postulancy is the initial stage where you get acquainted with the Franciscan's way of life. It usually lasts between 6 months and a year. And during this time, you either live within the Christian Franciscan community or you participate in activities with the secular Franciscans. And you learn about daily activities and learning the rhythms and the way of life. There's a basic education that you receive. And at this time, you'll receive an introduction to the Franciscan spirituality, history, and practices, laying the groundwork for deeper learning. After this comes the novitiate. In the secular Franciscan order, we call this the candidacy. The novitiate, typically lasting 1 to 2 years, focuses on intense spiritual and community formation. This stage involves living under temporary rules, learning to live under the poverty, chastity, and obedience. It gives you a practical understanding of these commitments. Also during this time is continuing education. Novices engage in deeper study of Franciscan theology, scripture, and the order's rules, further grounding them in their spiritual journey. After this time, especially for the Franciscan friars and also the poor clerics, I believe, there's a time that some take advantage of temporary vows, which is after the novitiate time, you profess temporary vows, usually lasting 3 to 6 years. This period allows you to live fully as a Franciscan while still discerning your permanent commitment. And then there's the final profession. The final stage is the profession of perpetual vows, perpetual promises. This lifelong commitment, involves fully embracing Franciscan values and dedicating yourself to service within the order. Again, I want to emphasize, this is a lifelong commitment, not to be entered into lightly. After final vows or after profession, all Franciscans participate in ongoing education and spiritual development. This ensures the growth in yours and our vocation. Each stage of formation is designed to deepen your commitment and understanding of the Franciscan way. This journey is about growing in faith, community, and service, aligning your life with the teachings of St. Francis. Understanding the discernment process, the formation stages, provides a clear path for those who are considering a Franciscan vocation. Whether you feel called to a religious life or integrating Franciscan principles into your daily routine, these steps are crucial in your journey towards living a life of simplicity, humility, and service. Living a Franciscan vocation is more than just following a set of rules. It's a way of life. It's a way of life grounded in community, prayer, and service. This approach helps Franciscans connect deeply with God and with others, fostering a sense of purpose and fulfillment. In community life, this is the highlight of the importance of community life and how Franciscans live and work together. Community life is a cornerstone of the Franciscan vocation. Franciscans believe that living in a community provides mutual support, encouragement, and accountability. They share their lives, sometimes meals and prayers, creating a strong bond that helps them to grow in their faith. Franciscans often live together, especially the brothers and the sisters live together in friaries or convents. This is a shared living arrangement that helps promote unity and helps them to practice humility and love. Franciscans pray together several times a day. This practice keeps their focus on God and strengthens their spiritual connection. There's also shared responsibilities. Everyone contributes to the daily chores and tasks. That includes cooking, cleaning, caring for the environment. Living in community means that Franciscans support one another through life's ups and downs. They celebrate joys together. They provide comfort during difficult times. Prayer and contemplation are central to the daily life of a Franciscan. These spiritual practices help them to deepen their relationship with God and align their lives with His will. Franciscans most often follow a structured prayer schedule, and this includes morning prayer, midday prayer, evening prayer, and night prayer. This rhythm of prayer keeps their focus on God throughout the day. Time is set aside for silent contemplation, allowing Franciscans to reflect on their experiences and listen to God's voice. Many Franciscans spend time in Eucharistic adoration, reflecting on the presence of Jesus in the Blessed Sacrament, and sometimes just being there quietly. There's also personal devotions. In addition to the communal prayers, Franciscans all have some kind of personal devotions. things like the rosary that enrich their spiritual lives, their service and outreach. And these things include things like mission work, charity work, advocacy for social justice, working for peace. Service and outreach are essential aspects of the Franciscans' vocation. Franciscans strive always to follow Jesus' example by serving others, especially those who are marginalized or in need. Franciscans serve in missions. The missionary work involves the spreading of the gospel and providing aid to communities in need all around the world. In charity, Franciscans run shelters, shoot soup kitchens, and other charitable organizations. This work ensures that the basic needs of the poor and the homeless are met. Under social justice, Franciscans stand up for social justice, advocating for the rights of the oppressed and working towards systemic changes. The environment has a lot for us to work on also. Inspired by St. Francis' love for creation, Franciscans also focus on environmental issues, promoting sustainable living and care for the earth. Through their commitment to community life, prayer, and service, Franciscans live out their vocation in a way that profoundly impacts both themselves and those they serve. Now, along with all that I've said before, there is a special category of the secular Franciscans. Most of what I've already said goes with the secular Franciscans as well. But because of our state in life, there's some changes, things that we do as part of our life as Franciscans. It's important to know that many people feel called to live out the values of St. Francis without joining a religious order. We can live out the values of St. Francis without joining a formal religious orders like the Franciscan brothers or the sisters, even though the secular Franciscans are a religious order. The secular Franciscan vocation comes in that it allows lay people to commit to a Franciscan way of life while remaining in their everyday roles as workers, parents, and community members. The secular Franciscan order is for those who want to live Franciscan values but are not called to be priests or nuns. The purpose of this order is to bring the joy of the gospel and example of St. Francis into everyday life. Members follow a rule of life that guides them in living out values like simplicity, peace, and justice in their daily lives. Secular Franciscans aim to transform their ordinary lives into a mission of spreading love and helping those in need. They integrate these values into their interactions at work, home, and in their communities. Becoming a secular Franciscan is an interesting way to live your life. Sometimes it's harder even than the brothers who live in community, the sisters who live in community. We as secular Franciscans need to take our work out to every part of our lives, and often without support, at least right at hand support. What's the process of becoming a secular Franciscan? And I know I've talked about this before, but just to refresh our minds. The first is the inquiry phrase. This is the first step. This is the step where you attend local secular Franciscan meetings and talk to existing members. It's like getting a feel for what it's like and what it means to be a secular Franciscan. There is education, learning about Franciscan spirituality and history. There's also mentorship, and this is important also, being guided by an experienced member who helps you understand the commitments involved. After the formation process, which can be anywhere around 2 years, 2 to 3 years, actually, I should say, profession after the formation is a time when you make a public promise to follow the rule of the secular Franciscan order. This is called your profession, and it marks full membership in the order. Life as a secular Franciscan is about balancing your family work and spiritual commitments. Here's a little bit about what it looks like. And again, this is only an overview. I would refer you back to the podcast that I just did previous to this one, where we talk about living as a secular Franciscan. Daily prayer and meditation is important for all of us. We need to integrate prayer into our daily routine. It doesn't mean that we spend hours each day. Even a few minutes of reflective prayer can connect you to your spiritual roots. Community meetings are also important. Some call them fraternity gatherings. Regularly meet with your local Franciscan group. These meetings offer support, spiritual growth, and opportunities for some communal activities. Service work, engage in acts of service. This can be as simple as helping a neighbor or as involved as volunteering at a shelter. And we need to learn to balance our roles. We need to combine our vocation with our daily responsibilities. That's not easy to do. Whether you're balancing a job, a family, or other commitments, being a secular Franciscan should enhance, not hinder, your everyday life. The secular Franciscan life is about integrating Franciscan values wherever you are. It's about living simply, loving deeply, and finding God in the everyday moments. By committing to this path, you're not just enhancing your spiritual life, you're also making a meaningful difference in the world all around you. In conclusion to this, exploring a Franciscan vocation offers a profound way to live with purpose, simplicity, and community. Whether you're considering life as a friar, a poor Clare, or a secular Franciscan, each path integrates the core values of humility, service, and love for all creation. Reflect on your own calling and think about how these principles can enrich your life. Embrace the opportunity to learn more about Franciscan vocations and see where this spiritual journey could lead you. The Franciscan way has the potential to bring deeper meaning and fulfillment to your everyday life. And if it's your calling, I hope to see you with us soon. Well, the music means that our time together is at an end. I would like to thank you for walking with me today. It's been a great blessing. All of the information about the podcast is available on the website ourwalktogether.com. Please invite your friends to also listen. You are the best advertisement. And so, until we meet again, may the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord let his face shine on you and be gracious to you. May the Lord look upon you kindly and give you his peace.